Hi guys, welcome back to Elephants in the Room. My name is Nicole. I'm your host. Thank you for being here. I am back from Europe. I was gone for a couple weeks and I actually haven't filmed an episode in a long time because I batch filmed before I left. So it's been a long time since I've sat down and talked to you guys. So welcome back. My brain is not working right now. Not at full capacity. I'm on my period, so I feel like a little bit just all of the things, if that makes sense. I just started yesterday. But I am excited to talk about today's episode because it's something that I feel like I'm just working through and thinking about in my mind. And I kind of love these episodes when I talk about something that I feel like I'm currently kind of processing, because it feels very real and I usually am able to just articulate myself so much better. And it's a lot more of just kind of like a free speaking podcast, less than planned or prepared. Obviously, I do have some notes that I wrote down, but I just kind of want to talk to you guys about this because I feel like this is something I'm kind of processing and thinking about. And I feel like usually the things that I'm processing and thinking about, some of you are as well. And so I just want to talk about it. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, your feedback, DM me, email me. And to be completely honest, I definitely am at a point where I think I need some help for sure. I don't really have management for this podcast, and I definitely don't have all of the time and the energy, or at least I can't or don't feel like it's right to put certain time and energy towards this that I'm putting towards other things. And so not that this podcast takes a back burner, but showing up and talking with you guys and all the things, I love doing this, but I think I'm just realizing I need a little bit more help with bandwidth and all the things. So I'm not great at responding to DMs or emails. It's so bad and I need to be better, but I just haven't had the time or the energy to do it. I've just been putting my time and energy elsewhere, and that's totally okay. But I do want to be more engaged with you guys and be able to have a little bit more time to spend responding to DMs and responding to emails and different things. That matters a lot to me. So I think I am just realizing I need a little bit more help with some of the behind the scenes of all this stuff. So yeah, because it's like my passion, but it's also technically a way that I make money. But I don't really, it's just like I don't really prioritize the business side of it as much as I should, because I'm just a girl and I'm just doing the best that I can. And so I do have emails come in with collaboration opportunities and different guests that want to come on. And even though I do want to do that, it can get a little bit overwhelming, and sometimes the DMs and the emails can be overwhelming because I want to respond to all of them, but then I don't because I have other things going on and whatever. It's a rant. But all of that to say, I really want to be more engaged with you guys, and I want to get more feedback and all these different things. So please, especially around topics and different things, send me a DM, comment, email, whatever, and eventually I will do my best to get to it. Not that I am going to promise that I will, but I do love to open the dialogue up to you guys. And also, I don't know, I've thought about starting some type of group where we can all be able to converse with each other, because I think a lot of people who do follow this podcast and that engage with me oftentimes are going through similar struggles as the other people who are also followed and engaged on the podcast. So I feel like having community of people in a space where we can kind of be vulnerable and talk about things and explore things and all the things could be really cool. So I will think about doing that. But yeah, I just don't feel like I've been able to show up the way I really want to in this space, because I just feel like I haven't had the bandwidth to do it. So I definitely need some help. So I need to figure that out. But for now, I'm here and I love you guys. And thank you so much for being here. Okay. Now to get into today's episode, what we're going to be talking about is the obsession with finding a solution and being healed physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and realizing that you are not a problem to fix. Life is not a problem to fix. And why am I sharing all of this? Why am I going to talk about this? Because I go through so much in my mind and internally in my life, and just in the last few years, even since I've started this podcast, and I feel like I've started my healing journey in therapy, and now physically, I just have recently started a gut healing journey. And these are just thoughts that I have all of the time and things that I work through in my mind because life is so dang humbling. And I think that as we go through life, there's so many times in my life that I felt like I have the answer to life and I have it figured out, and I've chased solutions and I've chased healing and health and wellness and to be the best version of myself and to be the most qualified to sit here and do this and to be the most qualified to talk about anything I'm passionate about or whatever it is. And even though it feels hypocritical for me to sit here and talk about this, because a lot of this podcast is about navigating healing and having a good quality of life and working through grief and trauma and also just going through life and what I've learned and what I'm navigating through. And so it's hard because it's like, I do believe that healing and getting to the root of our problems and being the best versions of ourselves and doing good things that are good for us and prioritizing healing and prioritizing all of the good things, it is important. But at the same time, it's not the point. And I just feel like we can miss the mark when we become so obsessed with being the best version of ourselves and healing and finding a solution to all of our problems and being healed from all of our trauma and being in perfectly healthy relationships and being the most qualified we can be for our jobs or our careers and all the things, right? It can become an obsession, and we become so obsessed with finding solutions and getting to the finish line that we just miss the mark, if that makes sense. So, okay, let's just get into this. I think I currently have definitely been feeling, and a lot of times in my life have felt this pressure to be the best version of myself and be the most healed version of myself and to do all of the things that I know are right. Yeah, I think I've definitely felt a pressure to, I don't know, just heal and be the best version of myself. And like with this gut thing I've been doing, like get to the root of my stomach problems. And even with this podcast, like I do feel such a pressure to like be the most qualified. Like I don't feel qualified to do this because I'm literally just a girl that, and honestly, all the time, I feel like my life is a mess, which I don't think my life is actually a mess, but I think we all feel like our lives are a mess because we have this standard of perfection and this standard of we should always be doing all of the things to get to the best versions of ourselves and the most qualified versions of ourselves and all the things. So I don't know. And I think too, like with my gut healing journey that I've currently been on, it's been a huge time commitment and I've had to sacrifice a lot to, be able to follow the protocol that I'm under. And it's been this weird balance because it's like I want to prioritize healing and I want to feel good and I want to get to the root of things and I want to do the work. But I can't become so obsessed with it that I miss the whole point. And that I also stress myself out so much that my body's not even in a place that it can heal. It's like I have realized I have to like take a breath. I have to breathe. I have to live. And even though it's good that I have the knowledge that I have now about what's going on with my gut. And I can hope and believe that it's right and that it's true. And I trust the people that are advising me. But also, even them, even the most qualified people, don't have it all figured out. And there's some things in this life like we don't know for sure. It's like when we think about healing and like, what does it mean to be healed? What does it mean to be healed emotionally or mentally, right? Like if you've experienced a ton of trauma and all these things, it's like, yeah, there are going to be fruits of healing in your life. There are going to be things that show that you are a healthier person than you once were, mentally and emotionally. But realistically, there's not a complete map out to say this is exactly where this is the point where you're fully healed, right? And I think at times that has been frustrating for me because, even recently I've been in therapy and I feel like a lot of stuff from my past kind of comes up, and it can be super frustrating because I'm like, how does this still affect me? How does what happened to me so long ago still affect me? How does something that I have worked towards healing from, that I've extended forgiveness for, that I have moved on past, how does it still affect the way I operate in some of my relationships and in life? And how does it still hurt me, It's like, I thought I was healed, right? I thought I've done healing. I thought God has healed me. I thought I've done work to heal. But it's like, what does it mean to be fully healed? Does it mean that we won't care about what's happened to us and that it won't still make us feel a type of way? No, I don't think so. And also, I think that like chasing and pursuing to be fully healed, it's like, what does that even mean? And is that even the point? And does that even matter? Because part of the human experience is grief and loss and all these different things. And so it's like, I think it's frustrating, and I think it adds a whole nother layer because I do this podcast, which I'm so thankful to do. But sometimes I feel like I can put some unnecessary pressure on myself because sometimes it's so much harder to practice what I preach than I realize. And so, I'll get up here and say, guys, like, set boundaries, do this, do that. This is what I've learned. This is what helps me. And even though a lot of the times I do apply a lot of the things that I talk about to my life and they're real things that I've gone through and that I've learned, I feel like a hypocrite sometimes because inevitably I don't have it all figured out. And not that I ever say that I do, but sometimes it feels like I'm not allowed to share what I feel like is true and what I've learned if I'm not perfectly applying it to my life and if I'm not 100% sure about it. And we're going to get into all of this, but this is kind of what I've been feeling and what I've been dealing with, and this weird pressure and this weird feeling and just whatever. And I just, again, I emphasize this all the time, but like, I don't have it all figured out. Gosh, the older I get, the more I realize like how crazy life is and how humbling life is because we're continually learning. We're continually going through things that help us have more empathy for others, help give us a greater understanding. And also, like, we're not robots. We're not just designed to just do the right thing all the time and be perfect all the time. Like, God didn't design us that way. Like, we are naturally sinful people. And also, we're human. Like, we're gonna fall short. We're gonna fall back on the things that we said we would do. We're gonna make mistakes. We're gonna do the things that we know aren't good for us. And that's okay. So let's just take it back. I just went on a long rant, but let's bring it back a little bit, back to my little notes I have. So this isn't necessarily like all about me offering all these solutions to you guys and telling you guys I've figured out. I don't. This is just me being vulnerable about real thoughts that I have and kind of this real thing that I feel like I've kind of been going through and realizing. And I hope that it helps you. I hope that it helps you feel less alone. And I hope that it helps you take some pressure off of yourself and gives you a greater and more realistic picture of maybe people that you look up to or people that you think have it together, because none of us do. So, the obsession with fixing ourselves. I think that, like I said, healing physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all these things, it's such a good thing to do, to pursue healing, to pursue health in all of those situations and relationships in our lives and all of those places. But sometimes it can become a performance thing. It can become a checklist, right? And even though, again, doing good things will result in good fruits, we can't be unrealistic about how that's actually going to look. And we can't be so busy finding solutions and fixing and doing that we don't live. Like, when do we just let our shoulders down and we let ourselves live? We let ourselves go through these human experiences. We let ourselves do the thing that we maybe know isn't great for us because we're human, right? I think for me, for sure, obsessing over doing everything right has definitely become a form of control that I have found that kind of gives me this weird sense of peace. Because I think, we've talked about this before, but we love to feel in control of our lives and in control of ourselves. And when we feel out of control, it's super anxiety inducing. And so oftentimes we create this false sense of security and peace by doing everything we can to control the outcome of our lives, to control the outcome of our relationships, to control the outcome of our health, to control the outcome of our career. We overperform and we chase perfectionism because we want to feel safe and secure so much, and we want to feel like we're enough, and we want to feel valuable, and we want to feel good in our own skin, that we just perform and we control so tightly that we feel this sense of peace and that we feel like we know what's going on, we know what's happening. But what happens when you do all the right things and the bad thing still happens to you that you were trying to avoid? What happens when you give your all in a relationship and do everything right and that person still decides to abandon you or to walk away? What happens when we do everything right in our career and we follow the steps lined up to be successful and we're not successful? What happens then? Where does our value come from? Or where does our value go when everything falls through? When everything we work so hard for and we try to control doesn't work out the way that we thought? It's like life shattering. It's so life shattering when we do everything in our power to have good things happen and bad things happen, but bad things are inevitable. Bad things are going to happen to you. You could do everything right and you might still have health problems. You could do everything right and your relationship might still not work out. You could do everything right and you might still not be successful. Like, it's inevitable. It's just going to happen. And so that's where I feel like that balance has to come in, where it's like, yes, we do need to do good things. Yes, we do need to pursue healing and to do what we believe is right and to live good life so we can have good quality of life. But we can't become so obsessed with it that when life doesn't go the way that we plan and when things fall through, that our entire world is shattered. Like, part of life is accepting the good and the bad and all the things that come with it. And also knowing that you're human. You're human. You're not gonna do it all right all the time. You're not gonna do everything you set your mind to. You're not going to do everything that you know is right. You're going to do things you know are bad for you. You're going to entertain things that don't make you feel good. You're going to stay in some relationships that aren't the healthiest. But also, if we're so extreme to the point where once we receive knowledge, we don't just apply it, but we obsess over it, we will lose out on a lot of the most beautiful things in this life. And I think this is something that's definitely been hard for me to accept, because it's something that I've preached to you guys and to myself and to so many people. But just like even in my therapy journey, like I think that I've obviously learned a lot about relationships and about healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships. And I think it's super important to have the knowledge about what a healthy relationship looks like and what it doesn't look like, and to have the knowledge about boundaries, and to have the knowledge about, certain, emotional manipulation, gaslighting, all these things. Like, it's powerful to have that knowledge and to know. But if we cut out every relationship in our life that there was any amount of toxicity in or unhealthiness in, we wouldn't have any relationships, because everyone has something. Everyone's going through something. Everyone has unhealthy tendencies. Some are a lot worse than others. Some situations are a lot more extreme. I'm not saying that you should just forget about all of those things and not walk away from certain relationships and not set boundaries. No. You should do that. But there's a time and a place. And it's inevitable that we are going to sometimes entertain and stay in certain friendships, relationships, whatever, family relationships, where there is some dysfunction. Even if we know, hey, I know this isn't healthy, and hey, I know I deserve more, we may still stay. We may still tolerate. We may still do something that we know isn't right or isn't the best for us. But we can't beat ourselves up for that, because it's just that's part of being human. It's like, yes, there's a time and a space to walk away from relationships, and a time and a space to set boundaries, and a time and a space to create space. But realistically, we can't expect just perfectionism in our lives all the time with other people and with ourselves, because it's unrealistic, and we are human. We are human. And so I think, I just think, there is a piece that comes with kind of trying to control and to solve and to fix. And even though those things can be good, when it gets to a place where it becomes an obsession and it's causing more harm than it is good, it's like, is that the point? And these are thoughts I have and thoughts that I go through, because it's just like, it's confusing. It's so confusing. And I think something that I just have to keep reminding myself, and something that I feel like I have learned, is that I am not a project. I am a person. You are not a project. You are a person. Your sole purpose for being on this earth isn't to fix yourself and isn't to solve everything. Like, that's not the point. And when we look at ourselves like we're some math equation, like we're some problem we need to solve, like, we're not problems. We are humans who have problems. And to have the best quality of life and to be the closest to Christ, which is something obviously I believe in, we want to be on self-betterment journeys. We want to be the healthiest, happiest, most loving people that we can be. And that takes work. But we can't become so obsessed with fixing and solving all of our problems that we don't live, and that we don't accept the flaws that we have and the flaws that other people have. And also, that's the craziest thing about life, is that, like, there's a lot of things we just won't ever truly know. Like, we can make educated guesses on them because we can look at what points to the truth and what leads to the truth. For an example, like my faith in Jesus. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus Christ. I could be wrong. I have faith in the gospel, and that it is the truth and the way, and that Jesus is the way. I believe that. I have faith in that. And I've made that decision based off of a lot of different things, but based off of a lot of things that, what facts and different things. I'm losing my train of thought, but all of that to say, I've been led to that. But at the end of the day, I think there's a reason that God doesn't just come and reveal himself to us, because he does want us to have faith. There's a certain faith aspect that plays into it. And I can't say that I know 1,000 billion million %, but I have faith that that's true. And I think with everything we do in this life, like with my gut healing journey I'm doing, and with therapy and all these different things, it's like we can believe that that's the way. I can believe that, hey, the things that my doctors tell me are true, and I have this certain thing going on in my gut, and this is the way I can heal it. But there's no way for me to know for certain. I can look at my symptoms and say, oh, my bloating has gone down, my skin looks better, I feel better, all these things. And I can make an educated decision and or guess on those things to say, okay, this is working. But there's no way for me to take a microscope in my gut and see exactly what's going on, right? So it's like we're not always going to know that what we do and the efforts that we put in lead to 100% healing and that they're 100% right. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't do them. It just means that we have to be realistic about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just think remembering, like, I'm a person, I'm not a project and a problem that needs to be fixed. Not that I shouldn't work towards bettering my life and having a healthy, happy life, but also accepting just humanness, being a human and what that means. And being a human means being someone who feels and someone who makes mistakes, and just the human experience, just all the things we go through in the human experience. And this is something that definitely has been really encouraging for me, and also like very eye-opening for me. I think that we love to idolize people, and we love to just kind of seek people like they're gods, or like to have all the answers. And something that's been encouraging and also discouraging in a way is that even experts are still human. There are so many people that I know, therapists, people in the wellness space, all these people who are like experts in their field that have so much knowledge, that are so wise and have so much wisdom, and yet they're not perfect. And I used to think, like, here's an example. One of my therapists, I remember I thought like, oh, their life just must be so perfect. They must have the healthiest relationships. They definitely don't tolerate any like mistreatment from any people in their relationships. Like, they must have such a healthy life. They must be so healed. And that is absolutely not the case. They are human, and not only are they human, but it is one thing to know something. It's one thing to know, okay, this isn't good for me, or okay, this is this fact about this, and this is this certain thing. Like, okay, this is what gaslighting looks like, right? And this is what boundaries are, and this is what healthy relationships looks like. It's one thing to know something, to have information. It is a whole nother thing to actually apply it to your life. And also understanding that for us, because we are so emotionally invested in our own lives, and we all have an emotional bias, and when our emotions are involved, so much of our logic and different things get disrupted in relationships and things, like it means that we can know all the right things to do, and that doesn't mean we're going to do them. It doesn't. You can know all the right things about health and still not do them. Like, it's not, our level of knowledge that we have does not compute or relate directly to what our lives are going to look like, because it's so much harder to apply things. And some of the things we think we know could be wrong, or could just not work for us or could not work for someone else. Like, it's so complex and that can feel so frustrating. But just so many people that I know that are in any specific role or thing that they're highly qualified for. They're super knowledgeable. They've spent their lives dedicated to learning and becoming an expert in whatever field. That doesn't mean they have it all figured out. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily know exactly how to apply those same things to their life. And I think that that kind of takes me into my next point, which is like, we're never gonna be 1000% qualified to do what we want to do or to do what we love. I think whatever it is that you do, whatever space you're in, whatever career you want to pursue, we all have a passion, right? We all have certain passions. And to do them, we usually spend time and energy investing into becoming knowledgeable about said thing because we want to offer a service to people. We want to help people. And I think that that can be so encouraging and amazing. But I think we so often look at the people around us that do whatever they do. We look at therapists, we look at wellness people, we look at, anyone. We look at anyone, doctors, all these people. And we think like, oh, they're so qualified. But what I'm here to tell you is that oftentimes people don't feel qualified to do the things that they do, but they do them anyways. And what I mean by that, it's not that they don't have the knowledge or the information or the schooling, but what I'm trying to say is that like, you don't need to not do what you love and not step out just because you don't feel 100% qualified. I don't feel 100% qualified to sit here and talk to you guys because I care a lot about spreading misinformation. I care a lot about misleading or misguiding people. I care a lot about being honest and vulnerable and authentic. I never want to lie. I never want to say anything that I don't mean. And I also have a fear of saying the wrong thing. I have a fear of eating my words. I have a fear of being a hypocrite and telling you guys, this is something you should do and this is something that's changed my life, and then turning around and doing the opposite, which I do in my life sometimes because just because I have the knowledge about some of these things that I've learned in my life doesn't mean I'm always able to apply it because I'm human. So I just think wrestling with feeling like you're not 100% qualified, but still stepping out with courage, because just because we're not perfect does not mean that God can't use us, and does not mean that we can't bless other people and help other people. And I think just accepting that none of us have it all together. None of us know everything. And even the people who do have so much knowledge and so much wisdom and information about whatever it is that they do, I'm going to tell you right now, some of them don't feel qualified. A lot of us don't feel qualified. A lot of us feel imposter syndrome. And not everyone, but a lot of the people that I've talked to feel very similar to me. And it can feel like, am I even cut out for this? And am I good enough? And do I even know? And just, it's crazy. But I think it's sad because I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to feel this certain way. And there's a lot of pride that we take in what we do and who we are and what we say. And when we feel like a hypocrite or when we feel like we're not qualified, it can be so discouraging. But what I'm here to tell you is like, you're never going to feel 100% qualified in anything that you're doing. Obviously this podcast is one thing for me, but, even when I was working in retail, like I was a store manager and I didn't feel qualified to be a store manager. And then I became a regional manager and I was like, am I qualified to do this? And a lot of the times it was like, I was just doing the best that I could and that was enough. And I didn't always do it perfect and I learned along the way. But I think that there is this pressure that we all feel to feel qualified and to feel like we have it all together. And we just don't. We just don't. And that leads me into my next point of like vulnerability. I think it is so hard to just admit to ourselves and to others, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am, what I want. I'm literally a work in I'm a work in progress. And I am for sure a work in progress. And there's so many times in my life I feel like, oh, I figured it out. This is the answer. This is the solution. And it's just not that simple. It's just not black and white. It's just not black and white like that. And I started reading a book by Brene Brown. And it was talking about being a leader and being vulnerable. And one of the things that she said that I really loved, that resonated with me a lot, was being a leader or voice in healing doesn't mean you have to have it figured out. You're allowed to change your mind, grow, and evolve publicly. I think it's hard because, especially with this podcast, like, I sometimes get caught up in the fear of saying the wrong thing. And that holds me back from being really vulnerable. And I think that being wrong is okay. And I also think that changing is okay, and evolving is okay, and growing is okay. And every day we all show up where we are right there today. This is who I am, and this is what I know, and this is what I believe to be true with all the information and experience that I have today. That doesn't mean that won't change. That doesn't mean that won't end up, being different. But I think that is hard to accept because it strips away our pride and it can feel very vulnerable and invasive. But that's just something I feel like I'm learning I have to accept in every area of my life. And, especially in today's day and age, there's just so much information out there. Like, the wellness world, whether you're talking about, physical health, mental health, emotional health, career and career success, like, there's so many solutions and answers and fixes to our problems being shoved at us all the time. We get on social media and it's like, you see a video of me and I'm like, you need to set boundaries in your relationship. And you're like, oh, I need to do that. And it's like, even though it's a good thing that I'm sharing that, we're always being fed something like, oh, I have this stomach issue and I took this one supplement and this is a supplement that changed my life. And, oh, this is how I lost weight. Oh, and this is how I got healthy. And this is how I cut this person off and this is how I got to a better place. And this is how I healed and all these things. Like, we love to come from this place of like, I have it figured out. Let me give you the answer and the solution. And I think it's just so overwhelming. We're constantly receiving input. We're constantly receiving solutions and answers to all of our problems. And it's like we're just these big projects that just need to be fixed. And it's like, again, it's not that we shouldn't work towards healing in all areas of our life, but it's like we can't be so obsessed with fixing ourselves and so obsessed with solving all the problems of this world and solving all the problems in our lives. It's good, but when it becomes an obsession and it takes away from being present and living and just breathing, it's not good. And also, I think that's one thing that's really important, is that it's like, you won't be able to heal if you're so obsessed with healing that you are so stressed. Like, when our nervous system is so overwhelmed and stressed, and when we're constantly thinking and fearing and trying to get to a solution, our nervous systems are usually really stressed out. Our brains are so powerful, the brain connection to everything. And so when we're just living in this fear and this anxiety and this obsession of healing and fixing and solving, we aren't actually in the place to heal. Like, we have to be in a calm state to actually be able to start to heal. And I think that's something that's so frustrating, because it's like, well, what the heck? It's like, I'm focusing and thinking about all the right things to heal. How is it that that's a bad thing, right? And it's like, I kind of feel like I've been going through that with my gut healing thing. It's like I've been doing it for like a month and a half or something. And today I actually went in and talked to one of my doctors, and I was just like, so frustrating, because I'm like, how am I supposed to know that it's working? And what if it's not even true? And what if this isn't even real? And what if, and what if, and what if, and what if? And I get so obsessed with solving it and fixing it and getting to the solution that that's stressing my body out. And she said something to me that I loved. And she was like, Nicole, do your best and forget the rest. Forget it. You're not always going to have all the answers. You're not going to be able to solve everything. You can't control it. You got to let it run its course. Commit to this protocol, do the best you can, and forget about the rest. Don't obsess over it. Don't spend all your time thinking about it, because that brain and gut connection is going to prevent your gut from really being able to heal, because it's your body's so stressed. And so I think that is frustrating, and finding the balance between all of that can be like so discouraging, because it's like, wait, what? But we do have to find the balance. And even good information that we receive can be really overwhelming to our nervous system. It's like information overload. That's what we live in, right? We scroll on our For You page that's customized to us, and it's telling us everything we need to do to get better, and everything we need to do to solve our problems, and everything we need to do to be healed and to be fixed. And it's overwhelming. And it's not that stuff isn't good information and some of it's helpful. It's just like too much of it can be really overwhelming, and also not one size fits all. Like all of our health, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, it's all so different. One shoe doesn't fit all. So whenever we see something, someone is speaking from their specific experience, and sometimes it resonates, sometimes it doesn't. And so we have to be able to take that information not only with a grain of salt, but also with just like a breath. Like, it's okay. I don't have to fix myself every second of the day and solve the problem every second of the day. I also have to live. I also have to breathe. And sometimes in time, through letting go and surrendering and trusting God and trusting our bodies, trusting the process, that's when the healing actually comes. And the next thing is, you don't have to be fully healed to show up. You'll never feel 100% ready, 100% healed, 100% well. You're never going to feel 100%. There's always going to be something in your life that makes you feel less than. There's always going to be something in your life that makes you feel sad. There's always going to be something in your life that lingers, even when you heal, even when you do all the work, even when you do all the right things. Like, we will always have something going on internally, like externally, there will always be something. And I think waiting until we're healed to do the things we love, to be in the relationships we want to be in, to have the careers that we want to do, to pursue the passions we want to pursue, it holds us back, because we're never going to be 100% ready, and that's okay. And waiting until you're healed can keep you from living life. And that kind of ties into my next point, which I think I kind of touched on already. But yeah, just like going to therapy and getting healthy and learning about, all the things, gaslighting, emotional manipulation, abuse, all these different things. Like, it's so important to learn about all of those things. But realistically, we're not going to be able to have perfectly healthy everything in our lives, healthy relationships. Like, it's a balance. It's funny, the 80-20 rule, we've talked about that before, or you guys know about that, the 80-20 rule. It's like 80% good, 20% bad, because it's a balance. And trying to be 100% is just going to stress you out, and it's not worth it. Boundaries matter in our relationships, but connection matters too. And I think everything we do in this life is just such a work in progress. And it's also, yeah, I think it's just trying to find the balance of having the knowledge that you have and knowing the information that you have, applying it in the ways that you can, but not overdoing it, which is hard. That's why it's hard. It's like these things can feel like they contradict each other and it's so confusing. But I think I definitely am someone who in my life, in a lot of ways and many times, have been so all or nothing and have been so black and white. And I'm learning how much more gray life is than I want to admit. Because it'd be nice to just be like, I have it all figured out. I know everything. And I'm going to have a perfect life because I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And it's like, that's not the way that it works. Which I think is something I'm realizing is like, healing is important and you deserve it, but it's not the only point of this life. We want to have good quality of life. We want to be healthy. We want to have good relationships. But there are things about yourself and about others and about your life that are never going to be perfect. And some things will never change. Like, I think that there's so many times in my life where I've looked at a certain characteristic or what's the word? Like a habit or something that I have that I don't like. And I beat myself up for it because I'm like, oh, I wish I was more like this, or I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do this. And some of those things I have put in the work and have gotten a lot better at and have healed from and have made progress in. And some of those things have not changed. Some of my flaws and some of my things that I don't like about myself and that I would like to change have not changed. And they may never. There may be things about me that just stay the way that they are, even if I put in the work, even if I put in the time. And there's so much that goes into why, but you're going to have flaws. You're going to have bad habits. You're going to have bad patterns. You're going to have imperfections in your life. And you can obsess over them and try to fix them and control them. But it's only going to bring you distress. And it's only going to bring you shame and guilt. It's like when we operate from a place of love and we say, I love myself, so I do want better for myself, so I'm going to do my best. That's good. But when we operate out of a place of fear and of, I have to fix this, and if I don't fix this, then I'm not going to be happy, and I'm not a good person, and I'm not this. No, you are never going to have it all together. You're never going to fix all your bad habits. You're never going to be 100% where you want to be. And if there's anyone who feels like they are, good for you. But that is not my human experience. And so accepting there are things about yourself, there are things about your life, there are probably things about your relationship that you would like to change and that you don't like and that you want to break free from. But that doesn't mean you're going to. And that doesn't mean that other things won't come up. It's not to say that you can't, but life is not that simple. And also, there's so much that goes into all of that. And it's like you can fix one thing and heal one thing, but something else is going to pop up. Like, we are all imperfect. We all have things. We all have things. And I think part of truly loving yourself and accepting yourself and appreciating who you are is accepting that you're imperfect, accepting that you have flaws. And that's okay. It's worse to be so obsessed with being perfect and have so much pride in being perfect because you're not. You're not fooling anyone. And I think that was a huge transition that I made when I left the Mormon faith, is that, in my opinion, it's very workspace. And because you kind of work your way to heaven and because you prioritize so much of your outward appearance in the sense of what you look like and what you live like to be worthy, you can start to kind of see yourself as more righteous than others and better than others, because you build yourself up and you care so much about what you look like because you're kind of taught that that's the way you're supposed to live and that's the way you're supposed to be, that you think you're like perfect. You check off all the boxes and you're like, well, I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty close, right? And I used to feel that way in my relationship with God, because in the church's eyes, in the LDS church's eyes, I was doing everything right. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't have sex, I waited until marriage, I went to the temple, I didn't cuss, I didn't drink coffee, whatever. I was a people pleaser, I was nice. So I was like, yeah, I'm like so good. I'm like good. Me and God, like we're good. And then when I left the church and I started really reading the Bible and learning about sin, I was like, oh. So I was prideful, I was judgmental, I was self-righteous, I was this, I was that, I was this, and I was like, holy crap, I am not as good as I thought I was. I am not as good of a person as I thought I was. And accepting that changed my life. Accepting that I had my own things and I could look at other people and say, well, they're doing this and this and this and this and they're bad people. I was doing my own things. I just didn't know or accept that I was, because I was prideful and I was self-righteous. And I was a people pleaser. So I literally did everything in my power to appear to be good and to do good, because I was so fearful of being left behind. And yes, I loved people. And yes, I did things for good reasons. But also there was this deep-rooted, belief from the religion that I grew up in of like being perfect and being so good. And when I accepted that I wasn't, and I accepted that I needed Jesus and that I wasn't perfect, it really did start to help me love and accept myself more, because I was honest about who I really am and what I really struggle with. And that doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me human. And it doesn't mean that I shouldn't work to be better. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't work to be the most Christ-like I can be. But I also have to accept and love myself exactly where I am, even with all my flaws. Coco's snoring, but I can't wake her up because she's so perfect. So if you hear her snoring, it's okay. But yeah, I just think I'm learning that it's so important to try to let go of the fixing and the solving and the perfection. One of my favorite sayings is let go and let God. But truly, I think accepting that we not only are only in control of so much, but we are human, we are imperfect. And so like my therapist said today, do the best and forget the rest. Do your best and forget the rest. Like, we are not designed to be perfect. We are not designed to do it all right. We never will. It's like, what does any of that even mean? What does being healed mean? Because like I said, I've done a lot of work on myself, and I've done a lot of work in therapy, and I've done a lot of work in my relationships, and I do have way healthier relationships, and I do have a lot more love for myself, and I do have a better relationship with myself. But I still get triggered. I still have things come up from my past. I still have deep-rooted wounds from my childhood. And that affects the way that I operate in some situations. Does that mean I'm not healed and that all the work that I've done goes to waste? No. But it also means that I accept who I am, where I am, what I've been through, and know that it's okay that it will and can affect me. That's part of being human. And I think just on that note, like, we are all in the process of something, and we're all trying to pursue better lives. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful, and I think it's good. It's not that I don't think we should do that. But I think showing up authentically as ourselves is important, because, yeah, just I think the internet and just in general, like, we can get so obsessed with getting to the finish line and healing and solving and fixing that we kind of just ignore where we are. And most of us are in a very messy middle ground of a lot of things and are in the process of a lot of things. And I just think there's a pressure to clean ourselves up before we go to God, a pressure to clean ourselves up before we come to each other. But I just think if we're just authentically who we are and we authentically show up with all of our flaws and all of our things, we can love each other better and we can love ourselves better. And so I just hope that this helps kind of, just remove some of the pressure that I think we all naturally feel to be and to do and to always solve and fix and do what's right. Even though those are all good things, I don't necessarily think that's the point all the time. I think it's a balance. And I think truly real healing is rest, not performance. Doing the best that we can, forgetting the rest, and knowing that we can't rush the process. And knowing that part of the process and the pain is part of the journey, which is actually beautiful, which you don't think you'll care about now, but you will. It's not about getting to the finish line. It's not about solving. It's not about fixing. Life is one huge journey of so many things and so many human emotions and so many experiences that are painful, that are joyful, that are good, that are bad. And it all sums up to life. And I just think life is confusing, but I also don't think we need to be trying to figure it out all the time. We also need to live and breathe, let our hair down, drink a cup of coffee, go on a walk, relax, and just be authentically who we are and be present and show up as who we are every single day, because every day it's going to be different. So I love you guys so, so much. I really hope that this resonated with someone, and I really hope that it helped you guys feel less alone in this crazy process of life. But yeah, I just trying to figure it out, but also trying to not force myself to figure it out. We don't have to figure it out all the time. We could just be, and that's the struggle. That's what makes it so hard. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you guys would like to support me, you guys know you can follow the podcast on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. Watch it on YouTube. I need to be better about posting my shorts on YouTube. That's something I also need to do. Like I said, I need help. And yeah, you can rate and review this podcast. That helps me a ton. Leave me a comment, a DM, share it on your story. Please let me know what you guys would like to hear next and things you want me to talk about, ideas you have for me. I love your feedback. So yeah. Without further ado, I'll close this episode out by saying, what elephants are in your room? My name is Nicole, and I will talk to you guys in 2 weeks.